Hi, everyone. I thank you for listening to me. I'm here because of the heart that I have for our educational system and our young people. First, let me share with you how I came into education. I began working in the juvenile system in 1995. At first, I did community control probation. And in that, young people had to read their court orders. Well, most of the young people couldn't read. That was in 1995. And so I just assumed, well, they're just lazy, not really wanting to learn. But as the years went by, I realized I was so wrong. And I made such a big mistake of thinking that. After all, young people only know what they have been taught. And so in 2005, in 2004, excuse me, I resigned out of the juvenile system from 1995 to 2004, working with young people. I was amazed. Most every young person that came in that juvenile system, they were minority blacks that could not read and they definitely could not speak well. You know what it's called? It is now called as Black English. Well, let me share with you what it really is. When I began to take courses in the educational system, in the educational schools to become a teacher, I realized that in 1979, the psychologist that wrote the psychology book for teachers, he has in there never correct students' English. Mind you, that wasn't long after integration. So that was a way of saying you will not correct students' English. And because of that, teachers just did not correct our minority black children. Although you send them to school every day, the teachers was not correcting them. Didn't matter how they spoke or how they read, they were taught never correct their English. And so what we have today, we have children that has been in the school system since integration. And you know what? Many of them have failed. More school has closed. Now you said, what did you do? Because I have a burden for our children. What I did, I resigned in 2004 and I began to get into education. And I wrote letters. When I found out what was happening, I began to write letters to many officials, stating to them what has happened in school, into the public school. Mr. Robert E. Slavin, he and other educators, they absolutely came up with a plan how not to educate minority black students in the public school. And people, it has worked. It has worked, and it reminds me of Haman, who devised the plan to destroy the Jews. But yet, God had prepared Mordecai and Esther to deliver them from that wicked devisement that was planned. Well, listen, you may say, oh, well, this lady's just talking nonsense. I am not. Let me share with you. When I resigned, I began to take classes to become an educator, and I substitute, and I will tell you what I found out. I want you to listen to me. In 1995, many young minority, mostly black males that could not read and can't speak well. In 2005, they couldn't speak proper grammar and they couldn't read because they had not been taught how to read. And another thing, blacks who were professional teachers, most of them, they were eliminated out of the school system. Well, if you eliminate people that can relate to students, then those that can't relate, they can't teach them. After all, we must realize where we came from. We know that blacks were slaves. And we know that Caucasians, they were masters. Not all of them, but many of them were. So we have descendants of those masters who were masters, their descendants, like we were descendants of slaves. They are the ones that are in the school system supposedly teaching your children. Black professionals really are eliminated, especially here in Pensacola, Florida, in the southern states. All you have to do is get the information from the Florida educational system. Look at it and compare your teachers that are teaching. Compare minority teachers to Caucasian. You will see that most of your educators are Caucasian whites. It's very few blacks, even in school where they are predominantly black. Listen to what I learned working in the juvenile system beginning in 2004. Now, mind you, I told you, first of all, that the young people that come in the juvenile system, they are blacks. Without blacks, most of them, I won't say all, but the majority of them that come into that system, they are black minority young people that can't read, that can't speak. And so they are frustrated and angry, number one, because they're not being educated. Number two, we as older adults that are black professionals, we are not hired in the school system. That is the reason. Because if we're not hired in the school system, we can't really teach them. But whose fault is it? It's ours. Uh, in 2005, new in the educational system and working in predominantly blacks because these are the children that need our help, that can't read, that can't speak. Well, the teachers that I asked, I want you to hear this, people, and this is true, and I'm not making it up. I asked a number of teachers because children spoke so poorly. Listen to what I encountered. I asked some students, well, aren't you in a group? And the child would reply, I ain't in no group. Where's your um other questions I would say to them? I says, it's such and such a person here today. She ain't here today. I mean, I can't begin to tell you how poorly it is acceptable for our children to speak. One child said to me, I don't got no pencil. Yes, I'm is. And so I sort of like made notes of these things. That's why I'm saying them to you. Um, I don't have no paper. I'm telling you, people, you that are listening to me, our children, they have been denied of an education. And there are so many on ESC. ESC, they have been labeled that they can't learn. It's a travesty. ESC, let me tell you what it stands for. Exceptional Student Education. It sounds like a big word, but let me share with you what that really meant to a 9-year-old. That's just an example. I gave this 9-year-old a test because remember now, I'm a sub. And so this teacher said, call her these words out. This child was 9 years old. And I want you to hear this. I made copy of this because I thought how horrible, how shameful it is for this young child to be denied an education. And some of the words were, I thought I had them with me, but here they are right here. I want you to look for yourself. She's 9 years old, and this is the test. I was to call her. Can you believe that? Well, this is exceptional student education. Now you're probably saying, but maybe she had a problem. No, she didn't. Remember, ESC is a way for schools to get financial gains. There's nothing wrong with many of our children. And so what they do, here's another test. This child with this test here, That child is going to the sixth grade. He takes A's and B's home. And you know what his test consists of? Stuff as what is 8 plus 4? No division because he can't divide. You said, but he has a mental problem. No, he doesn't, people. This has been going on since integration. It's a way how to enslave Black students. And you know what? We don't know it. We don't know it because we didn't go through integration. We older people. The young people know it. And let me tell you something. Every teacher that has stopped to listen to my voice, they know that I am telling you the truth. These children are enslaved through the educational system in the state of Florida. Had I not have substituted, had I not have volunteered for a year like I was getting paid at this one particular school, Montclair, then I worked some at a school that is closed down that was in predominantly Black neighborhood. Spencer Bibb is closed. There are so many of these minority schools that are closed down. And you know who the teachers are? They're not students, teachers that can they're not students where the teachers and the student can not just act together, but to be able to, what is the word I want? They have to be able to connect. And so, because why? Make no mistake, what you see our president is going through, that should tell you something. It's not just because he's the president. He really can't speak. Because if he get ready to say something, he's ready to be shut up. Well, your children are like this throughout the school system.